Okay, guys, so this is going to be our final test kit. This is the phosphate test. So you'll see it's in that smaller little blue kit labeled PO4. Okay, and so for this test, we're gonna focus this week on the low range test kits. Um, so you can see they kind of just have this piece of paper in here. So the low range test starts on this side and then continues over, and then you have your mid range and then your high range. So we're going to look at the low range. Hopefully we're in the low range. With this one, again, timing is going to be kind of important for letting our water sample settle and letting the reagent work. Okay. So what you're going to need is you need your little glass bottle here that it has our little graduations on there, and we're gonna fill our sample from our tank up to that 20 milliliter mark. I got a little residual in there, so I'm gonna go grab our sample and then be right back. Okay, so now I have the sample from the fish tank. You can see we're up at that 20 milliliter mark. Okay, so the next step is we just want to grab one of our it says Phosphover 3 powder packets. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to empty the contents into that glass collecting bottle. Okay. There you go. Empty it in there. Okay. So now this is kind of important. So it's pretty explicit directions that we want to wait about 8 minutes before we test this. So it takes a little bit for this reagent to work. So we want to wait 8 minutes, and then it says, but don't test any after 10. So probably around like the 7 minute mark, we're going to want to check our color. It says it should start to develop a pale blue color if phosphates are present. And so the last time I did this, we didn't see a whole lot of color change, but just kind of, it was very, very faint. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pause, and we'll be back in 8 minutes. All right, so it's been about 8 minutes now. Still not seeing a whole lot of color change here. When we put it into our viewing test tubes, you can see it a little bit easier. One thing that we want to make sure is trying to have this behind a white backdrop. When we do this, that's going to allow us to see that contrast a little bit more. So now, this is where the instructions are kind of funky. It talks about this Hawk 1730 test tube and filling to the line just below 1730. So they're just saying fill that up just up to there. So this is going to be our test sample. So we'll fill that up to that line. Okay. And then we have our viewing box, and we have our color wheel in there, color match wheel. So again, we want to put that in the right-hand side, right? That's our sample that we're comparing. Okay. And then in your test kit as well, we have some more deionized water. This is going to be our control sample. So this is what we're going to be comparing it to make that color match. So we can go ahead and fill that one up. Probably can go about halfway. Doesn't need to be full. Okay. So again, as we hold that up, we're just trying to match those colors. So you can see, obviously, those are not matched there, right? So we're just trying to match that color as close as possible. Again, if we hold it up to the light or have a white background, we can kind of move these until we start to see that color get into the range that we want. Okay, so on this one, for example, we are at about a 2. Okay, so on the low range phosphate test, it says then you take that number, so 2, and we're going to divide it by 50. That's going to give us our parts per million for our phosphate on there. Okay, so we'll stick with the low range this week. It's important now to remember when we go to rinse out this stuff, use the jug of deionized water. We still, again, remember chlorine is bad. We don't want to be getting chlorine in our fish tanks. All right, good job.